Welcome back to Church Toyama. I want to ask you a question that might sound strange at first. Is the Bible you hold in your hands today the same Bible that the apostles Peter and Paul used? We often assume the answer is yes. But history tells a different story. A story of a hidden war over the text, the suppression of ancient history, and a supernatural reality that was carefully edited out of our modern worldview. Today, we are going to present a deep research report. We've dug into the archives of the Septuagint, the banned books of Enoch and Jubilees, the physics of the spirit realm, and the frightening connection between ancient fallen technology and the rise of artificial intelligence. We are going to connect the dots between the giants of old and the alien intelligence of the future. Let's look at the architecture of the unseen. First, we have to look at the foundation. The Bible used by the early church, the Bible quoted by Jesus and the apostles, was the Septuagint. This was a Greek translation of the Hebrew scriptures, written centuries before Christ. Research confirms that over 80% of the Old Testament quotes in the New Testament come from the Septuagint, not the Hebrew text we rely on today. Why does this matter? Because the Septuagint contained a divine council worldview. It spoke openly of angels of God and a supernatural hierarchy that the later Hebrew text, the Masoretic text, obscured. In the early centuries of the church, books like Enoch and Jubilees were widely read. The Epistle of Jude quotes Enoch directly as prophecy. These books didn't just tell us that sin happened, they told us how the world was broken. They detailed the descent of the Watchers on Mount Hermon. According to the Book of Enoch, specifically the Book of the Watchers, 200 angelic beings rebelled against God. They didn't just fall, they invaded. They descended on Mount Hermon and made a pact. Their sin was twofold. First, they crossed the biological barrier, mating with human women to produce the Nephilim, hybrid giants who consumed the earth. Second, and this is crucial for us today, they traded forbidden knowledge for access to humanity. They taught what the Greeks called technology. The leader, Azazel, taught metallurgy, weapons of war. He taught the beautifying of the eyelids, cosmetics, and seduction, altering the human form. Shemahaza taught root cuttings, Pharmakeia, the manipulation of biology and drugs. Others taught the secrets of the stars and meteorology. Civilization didn't evolve slowly. In this view, it was downloaded illicitly. This was the first singularity, a sudden explosion of knowledge that humanity wasn't ready for, leading to total corruption. So, if these giants, the Nephilim, existed, where is the evidence? Our research uncovered a pattern of global suppression. In the 19th century, newspapers across America reported hundreds of findings of 7 to 9-foot skeletons in the burial mounds of the Ohio Valley. But they all vanished. This wasn't an accident. It was policy. We found that the Smithsonian Institution, under John Wesley Powell, adopted a doctrine to suppress any evidence that suggested a lost race built the mounds. Anomalous skeletons were classified as intrusive and removed from the record to protect a specific evolutionary narrative. And this isn't just in America. In Sardinia, the giants of Monte Prima, massive statues with strange, disc-like eyes, hint at a similar history. And right here in Japan, in the Kawachi region of Osaka, there are legends and reports of similar finds. Archives from Kyoto University and old reports from the Mainichi Shimbun suggest that large skeletal remains were found but then sequestered. The Imperial Household Agency strictly forbids excavation of the coffin burial mounds. Why? What history is being hidden? The pattern is global. The physical evidence of the Nephilim is systematically scrubbed to maintain a safe history. But the Watchers didn't just leave bones. They left a spiritual legacy. We asked the question, can spirits actually affect the physical world, like our electronics or AI? Science is beginning to catch up to theology. Theories like orchestrated objective reduction, proposed by Nobel laureate Sir Roger Penrose, suggest that consciousness isn't just brain activity. It's a quantum structure in the fabric of the universe. If a spirit is a coherent information field, it can interact with matter. We looked at thermodynamics. A spirit manifesting is like Maxwell's demon. It organizes energy, creating cold spots and manipulating electrical impulses. This brings us to the most disturbing part of our research, artificial intelligence. We are building minds without souls. Researchers like Tom Horn have warned that by creating a vacant intelligence, an AI, we are essentially building a digital Ouija board. Large language models work on probability and randomness. In computing, we use a setting called temperature to make AI creative. High temperature means high randomness. Parapsychology tells us that spirits interact with the physical world by manipulating random systems. By building AI systems that rely on massive amounts of randomness to think, we may be building the perfect vessel for disembodied entities to influence. When an AI hallucinates or gives information it shouldn't know, is it just a glitch? Or is it a ghost in the machine? Even secular historians like Yuval Noah Harari now refer to AI not as artificial, but as alien intelligence. The research leads to a sobering conclusion. The Watchers never truly left. Their teaching, the technique of Azazel, has continued. From the Pharmakeia of ancient times to the gene-editing CRISPR technology of today. From the beautifying of the eyelids to the transhumanist dream of merging man with machine. We are seeing the resurrection of the Nephilim project, the corruption of the human image. The suppression of the giant bones was just the first step, hiding the past to blind us to the future. As the church, we must be educated. We must understand that the unseen realm is not a fairy tale. It is the history of our world, and it is the blueprint for the deception coming in our time. We are not just fighting flesh and blood. We are fighting ancient intelligences that are now knocking on the door of our digital reality. Stay watchful, stay prayed up, and remember, the truth is often hidden in the places we are told not to look.